Hello, Jack. Now's the time, mate. Now's the time.
Wait, what? Sorry?
We're recording.
Sorry, the connection here just disappeared. Like all I saw you I heard you cough, and then nothing. So I thought that was it. I didn't know. I was concerned. Yeah, I was like, is that a symptom? I don't know.
Cough vid?
Yeah, cough.
Yeah. That was sorry, that was bad, wasn't it? That was
Yeah.
How's it going?
How are we?
I'm superb, mate. You know, sat in the Stanza treatment room again, chilling, you know.
Yeah, looks nice.
It's quite nice, yeah.
Great. No, go back to the first view we had, Simon. The one we just
Yeah. That does not look.
It's not that sort of podcast.
We've got we've got flowers now in the room.
Oh, nice. That's good, George.
Can we class those as flowers?
They look dead.
What would you class them as?
Reeves, like
straw.
I'm pretty sure they're not. I'm pretty sure they're not.
Yeah. Hey.
I'm pretty sure they're. I'm sure they're not real. I'm pretty sure they're not real. Otherwise, they'd have to change them like every week. So, I'm pretty sure.
Or if they're dead.
We had that issue. We had a plant outside the studio, but it was too much hassle. I was overwatering it, and underwatering it, and then had to get rid of it.
Plants are hard work, man. Like I wish that they just took care of themselves, especially in a pot. Plants hard work.
I don't know why people buy me plants, like me and Sally plants, for like birthday presents and stuff, because I know it's going to die. The minute they give me it, I'm like, well, this will die in my house very soon. Thank you. Because I just won't water it. And if Sally's just away for a day, it's dead.
I had a bonsai plant that lasted me less than a month, I think it did. Yeah.
See, you've disappointed me because Mr. Miyagi will not.
No. Do you know what? My missus told me that they don't need lots of water and they can't be in direct sunlight. So I followed that exact plan, and lo and behold, it needed lots of water and needed to be in direct sunlight. So and
you need to clip it quite often.
Yeah. What I think I wasn't doing well was that I forgot to catch flies with chopsticks near it.
Exactly. You know. And what you should have done is gone out and started a fight with all the hard kids in the class.
Yeah, in the karate studio.
In the karate studio, and stole one of their girlfriends. Those are the things, you know. And 30 years later, they'd have made a series about you as a car salesman.
Yeah. Anyway,
speaking of failures, very little segue into my question. Actually, it wasn't planned. But my question for you two this week is, what do you feel as coaches are the biggest flaws, or where people go wrong, where they end up not achieving their goals in the gym, or they feel like they failed when they go to the gym? So what are the classic things that people fall down on?
I think
wrong.
Immediately wrong. Just the
What did you say?
Just the was wrong. I went he went wrong. So just the
correct.
Was wrong.
That's gonna. I'm gonna snip it that again. Great insights from Georgia.
For me, if you're not monitoring your progress, so if you've set yourself a goal, let's say the first thing you got to do is, of course, set a goal. Let's say you've got to the point where you've set yourself a goal. And you've set yourself a time frame, but you haven't monitored every week, every 2 weeks, whatever it might be. Let's say fat loss is the goal, which is probably the most typical one that we get. I don't know if you guys would agree. Coming into the gym, people want to lose weight.
Yeah.
Let's say you want to lose 10 pounds in 12 weeks or whatever. If you're not monitoring that goal, 3-4 weeks down the line, you might feel like you're not making any progress. When in fact you are making plenty of progress. You just haven't been weighing yourself. You haven't been taking measurements. You haven't been documenting what you're doing, basically, somehow. And I think people, once they get 3 or 4 weeks in, they get a bit tired of, the gym, coming to the gym becomes a bit more tiring, and they don't feel like they're seeing as fast results as they're getting. That's when I think a lot of the time people start losing motivation and don't eventually achieve their goal. That also falls in, if I can just add this little point, if you don't write down
carry on
what exactly you're doing and how you're progressing, not just from what's my weight looking like, what are my pictures looking like. If you're not writing down your programs that you're doing, you're also not seeing your progress through your programs. You're not seeing your fitness improve. And often what people do is they come in at the beginning and work really, really hard, go ham sandwich on it for 3-4 weeks, see what they deem as minimal results, and then lose interest and lose motivation because their level of effort potentially isn't getting the results as much results as fast as they would want to. So those are a couple of points I think why people lose motivation and lose momentum and eventually.
100%. I think the photos one very important because people, like I've seen it with clients, even though I see them maybe not very often, like twice a week, but then people look at themselves every day. And so sometimes you can't actually see that you've changed because it's so small over week that you don't actually notice. Whereas there may be someone that you haven't seen for 3 or 4 months, then they go see them and like, oh my God, you've lost so much weight. And they're like, oh, have I?
Yeah.
And then you're like, yeah. And then that thing's super important. And that goes for the same, like you said, with writing everything down. Because people forget that they've actually improved. And they forget, oh yeah, at the beginning, I was only squatting a 1.25 plate as a counterweight squat. Now I'm goblet squatting 25 kilograms. That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with George as well. Definitely. Like the actual focus on terms of like, nobody writes their goals down. Like unless they're with me or you or George, nobody's actually writing down their goals. And there's tons and tons of studies that probably only us guys are reading there that show that when a goal's written down, the chances of success are probably 70 to 75% higher because now you've realized your goal, you know what you need to do. But the add on to that is, for me, is nobody focuses on the process. They focus on the end goal. So I want to lose 10 pounds, right? What needs to happen in order to lose that 10 pounds? I need to go to the gym 3 times a week, lifting resistance style training. I need to increase my daily steps or my daily movement some way or the other. And I need to ensure that I'm in a calorie deficit throughout the week consistently. And that's the process. It's like saying, I want £1 million. And then at the end of the year, then being like, oh, well, I don't have £1 million. Like, you're just going to set yourself up for failure there, because if you had sat there and be like, I want £1 million, all right then. So you have £1 million, what can I afford to save per month to get there? Right, I might be able to save £1,000 per month. So that's going to take me X amount of months. So at the end of the year, you could roll it out, be like, all right, so that's 12,000 now I've saved. That's amazing. I've stayed on target. If I do this now throughout the next year, and then therefore you're not getting upset by the lack of result of not having that £1 million. You know that you're on target. So the £10 thing could be over 3 months, and in the first month you're only looking for a £3 loss, and in that £3 loss, you've said to yourself that you need to, like I said, 3 times a week in the gym. You need to have the calorie deficit. You need to increase your daily output. So therefore, if we get there and you've done all those and you do get the results, amazing, you're on the right path. You know that in another 2 months' time you'll hit your goal. Therefore, you're already boosting your own psyche up, and you're creating more motivation for the next part of your journey. Or the other way, you could get to the end of that month and then not get the result, but then reflect back on and be like, right, so here's what I dedicated myself to do and said I was going to do. Did I do it? No, I didn't go to the gym. Actually, I missed a couple of sessions each week, and my steps were actually quite low a few weeks or a few days each week. And I did go out 2 times this month, and I didn't really control any of that. And then therefore you can now make yourself accountable, and then change the direction going forward. So you then go back onto the right. What's my original agreement? So therefore you keep motivation, and you take away the emotional side of it, the side of dieting, because there's a lot of that tied in, and you put yourself in more of a practical mindset where you're like, right, I know what I need to do. I need to stop pissing around, and I need to get back on the form, or I need to change something in my lifestyle to help me be able to reach these targets, or I need to change my targets. So like I said, focusing on the process seems to be something that people fail at. They want the results, but they don't think about what they need to do in order to get that result. Yeah. And that's a different way. I think us guys, we focus on the process to get people there.
we backdate often, don't we? We say if this is your end target, these are we need to be here at this point. We need to be here at this point, and it's rough. It's a loose. It doesn't have to be. If it's £3 in the first month, how many times do people lose 5, for example?
Yeah, it could be more, and more is always a bonus.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get to the Olympics by just waking up 2 months before it and be like, oh, do you know, I actually want to run 100 meters. I think I'm going to go for the Olympics.
I'm going to go straight.
In 2 months time. In the Olympics, often enough, then people are on an 8 or 12-year schedule. It's not often. It's only a 4-year schedule unless you're super talented. But there's often people from 16 aiming to run in the Olympics or sort of take part in the Olympics when they're 24.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So then these guys work backwards, being like, right, we've got an 8-year goal. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is what we need to do by year 2, year 4, year 6, year 7, and then year 8 we're in there. You know what I mean? So focus on, I think, strength and conditioning athletes or coaches like you, Jack, would know yourself, probably work back in a process.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You work back from where you want to be, and you just work your way back Z to A rather than. But then people should do that anyway. I think then it goes back to what George was saying: people not setting themselves, even not setting goals or not setting the right goals. But I think also in terms of what you said, I think people forget about the process, or they love the idea of the goal, but forget they actually have to do something in order to do it. So they think just people love the idea of becoming a millionaire. Great, but I mean, they didn't do it just by just cruising along. They put in hard work. I saw a good post the other day. I couldn't tell you who it was by, but it was a quote, and it was basically just saying everything is hard. Being poor is hard. Being rich is hard, because guess what? You have to get to that point where you're rich, and you have to maintain being rich. Yeah. Being super talented is hard. Everyone jokes all that time about how much sports stars get paid, how much, especially football players. It's right, well, you go and do what they do every day or have done for the last 25 years of their life. Most people wouldn't do it.
They're not capable of doing it.
Most people, you get Linda saying it, but Linda can't stop herself going out for drinks on a Friday night with 10 of her girlfriends when she knows she's got a weigh-in the next day and got a wedding in 2 weeks. She thinks she can do that every day for the rest of her life? No. So it's very, the fact that you have, people have to put in the effort to get the goal, the idea of the goal they want is hugely important. And one of the reasons, I think, definitely to add to the list of why people fail almost.
Another one to add to the list there, guys, is I think we all know how the value of resistance training. And every single one of our clients will do resistance training. I do think that a lot of people don't find something they really enjoy exercise wise. A lot of my clients have said to me, female clients in particular, that resistance training, weight training, is a facilitator for them being able to do sports like tennis and netball and maybe even just going for a run, rather than the thing they enjoy. So if you walk into a gym and you don't like weight training and you do weight training simply because that's what you think you should do, or you go for a run simply because that's what you think you should do, then you're setting yourself up to fail again, because actually 3 or 4 weeks in, you're thinking, this is getting pretty tiresome. I don't really enjoy this. The minute that starts to happen, you're going to start losing motivation and inevitably failing on your goals and giving up on your goals. So if you loved weight training, great. Use it as much as you can. Safely, of course. If you like to run, same thing. But if you're coming to the gym and weight training and you don't like it that much, you're going to have to find, I think, some other form of exercise that gives you that, that enjoyment, that kick at the end. And like many of my clients are using weight training as an enabler to do the things they want to do exercise wise. Mainly it's stuff like tennis, netball,
golf,
whatever it might be. It might be. It allows them to perform that better and limits their chance of getting injured. They know that, they know the value of it. So if they did it on their own, I'm pretty sure they'd have stopped training by now. But it allows them to do. So that is another one. Find something you enjoy doing and make that part of your training process, because it will really help you.
Yeah. I think the main one for me is people going or starting without any plan.
Yeah.
So they might have a goal. They might be like, I want to fit in this dress, whatever, but they go and they have zero plan. They have nothing written down what they're going to do. They don't know what they're doing the next day. They don't know what they're doing next week. Lee Eldridge, who we've had on here before as well, from the Athlete Tribe, I think did a recent post about it as well. So it's quite timely, but people go with zero idea of what they need to do. They hop on the treadmill for 10 minutes and then think, oh, I've seen this machine. I'll do this machine, do some seated chest press, do that for a bit. Wait, no idea of how many reps they've done or what weight it is. Goes back to what you said, George, where one, they don't have anything planned, but they don't write it down anyway. And then they'll do a couple on that, sit down in between, watch everyone else, and then go to the next machine, do some rows. This looks all right. No idea what weight they've done. Is it hard for them? No idea if it's what weight will be a challenge for them, whether they're actually going to get a stimulus out of it. No idea. And then do a couple more of that and then call it a day. And then next day or day after, do a similar thing, probably the same exercises because they know they've done them before, but then the same weight and just do that. And that, I think, for me is the biggest reason, one of the biggest reasons, definitely why people fail, because there's no progression. You're not going to know if you're getting better. One, because you're just doing the same thing over and over again, and then it all links in. You're not going to enjoy it, exactly what you just said, George, because you're doing the same thing and over again. You're not getting any results because, one, it's not structured, and two, you're not progressing it. Three, the fact that you could get injured, especially if you're doing something you don't, maybe you see an exercise happening, you're like, oh, that looks quite good, I'll try that. You don't know what you're doing. Never even watched a video on it. So yeah, for me that.
So it's just quite funny.
It's so true. Just to interject there, like it's like, so my Mrs. sister just joined the gym and she's in there and like she's gone there with somebody who trains there already, and I was like, what'd you do? And she's like, oh, I just did, and just starts kicking her legs out, and I'm like, you just. And you just do some of that, and then you like kick your leg out, you just do your leg out the side and that, and I'm just like, you have no fucking idea, like, you have absolutely no idea, and also like you have no idea of the pattern in which you should train. And I know we've talked about it before, doing your resistance, doing your bigger moves first and all that. There's just people in there doing all sorts of mad shit. And the chances are they will injure themselves, and then they'll be like, oh, the gym's a load of shit. I tried to go in there. How many times you've been like, oh, I used to try and lose weight, but it just hurts me back every time I lift. And you're like, there's a million exercises. Like, you can find one that doesn't hurt your back.
Yeah, at least one, Jesus.
You know what I mean? There's like, if the obsession with like, oh yeah, I don't train legs because my back will hurt when I squat. all right. Like, there's like at least $300 exercises you could do that's not squatting, like, and you'll be okay. Do you know what I mean? But the no plan and the no exercise, like the no idea of going into a gym. And we do have fitness instructors in these gyms. Nobody ever seems to use them, and even if they're not the best fitness instructor in the world, they must know like the basics in terms of like bigger compound exercises first. They should at least know exercise technique and stuff, and then they should also be able to tell you that like progressive overload is how you're going to get better. Whatever you're doing now, you shouldn't be doing it 4 weeks. You should have moved on from that.
Jay,
100%. I think there's a massive worry for people to ask other people in the gym. I mean, obviously it depends on the environment in your gym. Like in public gyms, it can vary. Like if you've got gym where people, but I think the best thing someone could do is, like you said, ask someone who works there, because they work there, so you would assume they know more than you, especially if you know nothing. So you'll get some advice, and then ask people that are like, if you see people that are moving well, like, oh, he's lifting a lot of weight, or say you're a guy and you see a guy who's in ridiculous shape, you're like, God, I wish I looked like him. Go ask him.
I
Ask him
bet
what he
you,
does.
I bet
Like,
he would love to tell you as well.
Yeah.
oh yeah, exactly. And then, but then I think there's also, I don't know, like, I've been in public gyms before where I've seen some atrocious stuff, and I always second guess if I actually go over and say, because then some people don't want to receive that feedback. Be like, mate, your like L2 is about to pop in my face, so stop. But then they'll be like, no, I'm fine. Like, leave me alone. Leave me alone. I don't want it. And it's like, well,
Yeah, no,
I think
I'm
people
only
need to
saying
be
it because I don't
open.
want to get injured from your vertebrae.
Can I just
in my mouth as I'm doing something?
Can I just say to people, if you're in a gym and you go up to one of the members of staff, gym instructor or PT, and you ask them for advice and they kind of fob you off, leave that gym, go somewhere else.
Change gym and join Stanza Fitness.
Yeah, exactly. So, go.
Because the staff there, I've heard, are so friendly.
Yeah, I mean, everyone apart from, yours truly. No, that's not true. I'm very friendly. I'm very friendly. No, so
I tell you what, I did it in Fitness First when I was younger. I went in there and I asked the guy to spot me. He was a PT. He wasn't doing nothing. He literally wasn't doing nothing. He's like, no, I can't do that because I'm a personal trainer. And I was like, man, I'm on my last set. I'm going for 5 reps. I just need to make sure I don't crush myself. And he's like, nah, you have to think for that. And I was like,
that's unbelievable. That is unbelievable.
Yeah, not a chance. I'll see you later. I'll lighten the load.
Yeah. I'll do it. Well, going back to what you said about exercises, Jack, the picking random stuff. There also seems to be fad exercises, and I've noticed this obviously since working in a gym. And I'm not saying they're bad exercises. I'm just saying that I think they pop up on social media for anyone who follows the fitness industry, and then I just see loads of people doing them all of a sudden. One of them is the seated on the floor with your legs out overhead press. The one I
like an L-sit press.
Yeah, like an L-sit press.
Yeah.
Well, great. It's great. There's nothing wrong with the exercise. Most people can't get their back extended enough while on the floor, though, when they do it.
No.
And I
just can't go overhead anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're kind of here curved, and then the back's curved, and they're pressing that way. The one they're fighting,
horizontally.
Yeah, they're fighting hard to like not drop forward into deeper flexion. So again, that comes from, like you said, Jack, not having a plan. So you kind of look at stuff on that looks cool. Oh, yeah, that looks cool. Oh, yeah, that guy's cool. I'm just going to go in the gym and try that on Monday. Oh, I'll do that. Okay, and then I'll
pick a mix program.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then they do deadlift last.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, you've got to make a plan, guys. You've got to make that plan, and it will.
But like we live in a world where YouTube and stuff is available. You could just type in full body workout, and like there will be a decent workout there. It might not be the right one, but there will be a full body, probably well structured workout where your bigger exercises are first, and all you have to do is stay with that. You can stay with that for 6 weeks if you want, and just try and get better at it.
Yeah.
But somebody will do full body workout one day, and the next week they'll go, oh, I'll try a different one.
Yeah.
I'll see you.
It's true. Like if your budget doesn't allow you to hire someone to specifically tell you, or a coach, then your next best bet is either like cheaper online programming that is a cookie cutter program, or are they the best? No. But the PDFs you can get from a good website, not like the girl who looks good in leggings, like an actual fitness website, more than likely will have videos. So at least you can watch something, and at least you've got something where you could go to the gym instructor, be like, look, this is my exercise. I have no idea if I'm in the right position. How do I do this?
Yeah.
At least you've got something that way. Like if you can't, but then I think people think out there that you could just Google all this stuff and don't need to hire an expert. Like with work here, we're doing a lot with SEO stuff. So website, like where you come in Google, absolutely no idea about it. We're learning about it, trying to get better at it. And then we spoke to one website guy because we spoke to another person who did a whole report for us. And our website guy was like, why didn't you just Google this stuff to get better? We're like, well, yeah, we could Google it, but then if I Googled this stuff, there are, just like there would be in fitness, there would be 8 bazillion things that come up And it's like, right, where do I start? I have still no clue because I don't know what this means. I don't know what this means. Like the time I would spend, I'd have to quit my job and
Yeah.
go 24 hours reading about this stuff.
Yeah.
So why don't we just hire
Time and
someone
money.
who is an expert and find out that information? Whereas people, I don't think, make that connection, especially for some reason, when it comes to their body, the thing they use every day, they don't invest the time and money and actually, I could get an expert. And especially in some places, you can easily get a trainer for 30 quid a session, 20 quid a session. Some places, like in public gyms, I've seen them that cheap.
Like if you go, like, you know, people don't go around trying to cut their own hair or dye their own hair. And you can go down the shop and buy hair dyeing kits. You can go get scissors. You can go watch tutorials. But they're like, oh, I'll just pay an expert to do it because it'll look nice. Like the same as they go out partying at weekends, or they go out drinking, or they go out for really expensive meals that are just gone like that, when they could invest like that 100 quid they spent on that night out just once, and just be like, I'm just going to pay somebody 100 quid and do 4 sessions, or do 3 sessions at £30, or 4 sessions at £30 or whatever, and I'll see where that gets me. I just want that guy to set me off on a good program, make sure I'm doing everything right.
Exactly.
Could be, yeah,
Like
it could
6
be
weeks,
first
learn
day,
as much as you can, learn about the movements. If you get a good coach, yeah, just learn. Be like, okay, look, I want to know I want to know what the hell I do when I walk into one of these places, a gym. And then I guarantee you, every single personal trainer working the floor, especially right now, especially if they're walking around the floor, will be like, yep, bite your hand off. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably do you a
Nice
good
and
deal.
simple, man.
Probably do you a good
Simple.
deal as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Any
But
more?
like you said, even like the fitness instructors in there, if you got the cookie cutter program offline and you went in there, like I've been a fitness instructor in a public gym, like there's not, if you're not doing inductions or a reprogram for somebody, then you're doing nothing but cleaning the gym and talking to people. So they would be more than happy for you to just go up to them and be like, oh, can you show me how to do a split squat properly? Or like, I've been doing squats, but I feel it in my back. Is it, you know, is this right or whatever? Just go and ask them, because they'll be more than happy to actually use the information and knowledge that they've been gathering up and deliberately, like, do you know what I mean? That's what they came in here to do. They didn't come in, they tick off boxes of people they talk to and clean some equipment. They came here to actually train people, so they'll be more than excited for that.
I think sorry.
I was just going to say, back to the question there, Jack. Sorry. Another thing I've got, another reason why people lose motivation is they get injured. And the reason that came into my head is because what we've been saying is, if you don't have a plan and you pick up random exercises that your body is potentially not capable of doing, or you're unaware how to do those exercises because you haven't asked anyone or paid for someone's services, then guess what? 3 or 4 weeks in of doing an exercise that's too hard or you're doing wrong, that injures you, your goals go out the window because you can't do anything then. And then when you're not training, how often do you hear that people lose motivation for their nutrition and everything else because they're not trained? They go, I won't bother with that. I'll just go back to what I was doing and then I'll start that again. I'll start that again later. Yeah. So yeah, sorry to jump in there, Jack. I just
no, 100%. No, it kind of goes to my point, and it goes back to the one we said earlier. I think people underestimate how hard it's going to be. I don't know about you, but you always get the odd client where in a session we're like, oh, it's still hard. I'm like, it's never not going to be hard. If it's easy, we're not doing it right, because you will never find it easier. It'll always get harder. That's literally the whole point.
Whereas your level of hard and what you can tolerate gets higher.
Exactly. So it will, exactly. It will always be harder. And I think I've actually got a good story that I use at the moment to like put people into their place where they're doing something that, oh, this is too hard. They're these Japanese monks or wannabe monks just outside this city in Kyoto. So they're in the mountains. It takes 7 years for these people to qualify to be this type of monk. Can't remember the name of it. But in year 1, years 1, 2, and 3, for 100 days consecutively, they have to run 30 kilometers in the mountains. So every day for 100 days, run 30 kilometers.
Whoa, that's ridiculous.
In the 4th year, they have to do it for 200 consecutive days. And after those 200 consecutive days, for 9 days straight, they then have to stay awake. They can't eat or sleep for those 9 days. And the whole time for these 9 days, 2 other monks follow them around and will like push them and nudge them to stop them falling asleep. In year 4, they have to run 60 kilometers a day for 200 days.
Oh my God.
Sorry, year 5. And then year 6, it then goes to, I think it's 80 kilometers. It's 52 miles for 100 days. And then in a row, and then goes back to 30 kilometers a day for 100 days. And the whole time, it's like those 100-day basically targets. In order to leave or stop it, you can only withdraw with no consequences in those very first 100 days. So at any point in those first 100 days in year 1, you can be like, actually,
I'm done.
I made a massive mistake. This really isn't for me.
Yeah.
After that, the only way you can stop doing it is if you take your own life. So the whole time they do this, throughout 7 years, they have a short rope and a knife on them. And the only way they can get out of it is taking their own life. And it's been going for like 400 years. Only 46 people have done it.
Completed it or taken their own life?
What, 46 people have completed it?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
46 people...
No, only 46 people have successfully gone through it. However, many others. So up in this mountain range, there are, I don't know how many, it doesn't say in the article I read, there are just loads of unmarked graves.
Just because they went, no, fuck this, bang.
That's insane.
Yeah. That is it. That is pretty insane.
Yeah, that's the only way they can get out of it after those 100 days.
Yeah.
That's
I know.
insane.
That was a good story, Jack.
Yeah.
That's a good, yes.
That was just a little tidbit. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that like people should carry around a knife and a noose when they're on a fat loss journey, and then if they can't make weight on a
That's
Monday,
the only way.
yeah, or personal training clients, like if they don't do it, then this is a forfeit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cake or death, you know. Eddie Izzard quote, no one likes
It's the
it.
same, but like going like even at that, like people don't ever ever stress the importance on themselves as to why they want to achieve the goal. You know, going back to the whole goal thing, when you said at the start, they don't even set a goal in the first place. But often enough, when people decide they want to lose weight, there's a deep personal reason for that. It might be only that they hate the way they feel, they hate the way they look, they don't like, being that weight. That changes the clothes that they want to wear because they can't wear it because they don't feel nice in it. Or it could be a health issue, or somebody in their family died at a certain age and they're getting close to that age, and it was because they weren't in good shape or they didn't treat their body well. And like these are the things that sometimes I think people should remind themselves as to why the hell they're doing it. Find the why, and then it will help drive the goal. Because I've heard it myself, and I've seen people cry, and then I've done sessions with them, and at the end of it, they're eating a Mars bar, and I'm like, well, I can't have meant that much for you. You know what I mean? Like, because my session certainly wasn't as high a calorie burn as that Mars bar is going down your neck. Do you know what I mean? But people got to remember that why, because it will help them drive them on days when they're not feeling that great, and it will push them to make better decisions when they don't really want to.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
100%.
Why?
Yeah, but people don't go.
No, I was just summarising.
No, you go, George.
No, that's all I was going to.
Behind, so it's...
I was just going to say, if you've watched those cheesy '80s films where someone puts a picture of their enemy on their window, on their mirror. Sorry, have you ever seen any of those? Where like, this is the enemy, bang. That's their why.
Yeah.
I mean, they work so hard and train. I think Rocky was one of them. He put Dolph Lundgren on his mirror or something. So I'm going to kill you, guy. Because he killed Apollo Creed. Spoiler alert, sorry. But like it's really valid, because it's like, right, that's my motivation right there. That's my motivation. So, something like that as a visual reminder every day. If you're getting married, put the wedding dress you want. Maybe a bit extreme, but something like that. Do you know what I mean? Then that reminds you of the why. Okay, I got 3 months.
Yeah.
3 months. There it is. It's reminding me, don't eat that. Do you know what I mean? Eat this variation instead.
Yeah.
Something along there. Good point.
Eat this piece of broccoli.
Yeah.
I think to add to the point about goals and to add to the why is tell someone else. Yeah. So don't keep it to yourself. Tell someone. Or, I mean, you see it a lot now, especially on social media. They have like almost like accountability pages where they'll put up their stuff but it's fine. Yeah, great. Like even if you keep it private between, like, you've got a page between you and 5 other friends, and then you don't post or something for a couple of days, and then those friends be like, hey, I haven't seen anything, what's going on, you still on your goals? I mean, if you've got shitty friends, they won't do it, but if you've got good friends, they might.
Yeah.
And yeah, having that accountability where you've told someone easily, even if you just tell one person and be like, hey, look, I'm gonna, in 12 weeks I'm losing this, just the fact that you've told someone else will give you motivation. Be like, oh crap, I told Jim at the office I'm going to lose 12 pounds. I haven't done anything about it. Then Jim can be like, Gloria, what's going on? Why haven't you lost the 12 pounds? So just having that accountability element, it doesn't have to be a coach, doesn't have to be a trainer, but it can just be simply telling someone about it.
That's a great point. Jack, you just made me think of something else there. That's a really great point. The people that surround you will also be a big reason why you succeed or fail your goals. I had one of my clients came in last week, and he doesn't take part in this, but he told me in his office they have a day called Cheese Tuesday, and the person who will know because they tend to watch this, Cheese Tuesdays. And he said, I kid you not, they buy so much cheese and so much bread and so many crisps and whatever, and then they have McDonald's Thursdays at the office. And like they go up to him and like, oh, you gonna chip in for this? And he's like, no. And they're like, oh, why not? He's like, well, because I've got my lunch. And they're like, well, is that all you're gonna eat? Well, yeah, because it's my lunch. I don't need to eat more than my lunch because it's my lunch. But the point is these are the people that you see every week and every day and all that sort of thing, where instead of being like, if you don't say I'm doing this thing because I'm trying to achieve this goal, every Tuesday and every Thursday, those people are going to be like, you chipping in? Why aren't you chipping in? You know, that's a bit, you know, and if you still tell them your goal and they continue to
social pressure.
Yeah. And it's to continue to get on your case about it. You know, that's the time when you start to think, you know, are these my mates? I'm not talking about in that particular situation, of course. I'm not saying that those particular people are doing that, but they're kind of doing it accidentally.
But it could be your partner that you're with.
Yeah.
It could be the person that you live with. It could be anything where you can just be like, look, I really need support here. I'm making these decisions. I'm trying to eat healthy. So, you know, like, please don't offer me any food that, you know, it's not healthy, or please don't ask me, do I want takeaways and stuff, when you know it's going to be an easier choice for me to just say yes. You know, just you do your thing, but like, I just ask you to not do this because I'm trying to get my head straight, trying to focus on these things, these tasks that I need to do, the process.
Getting your partner to buy in with you and do the same thing as you is a really good idea, because if there's two of you focused on a very similar goal, then it's another way of keeping on track and keeping motivated, basically. So yeah, so you know, look at the people around you.
And if they do it for 100 days, the only way to get out of it is if you have a noose or a knife.
Yeah. But that's
to kill your partner.
Oh no,
to kill your partner. If you want to get out of it after 100 days.
Yeah. Apart from you, Sally, you don't kill your partner, Sally. All right, he's a good guy. You know, just so you know. You know?
She doesn't watch this. Don't act like she watches.
She watches like she used to. In lockdown, she did. She watched the first 6, and then she said, you know, there's this Middle Eastern looking guy who, you know, I just can't. You know, the other 2 are all right, but that guy just can't get on. You know, there's no buy-in with him. You know, I can't. He's ruined it for everyone. That's what she said. So
great on her.
You know, here I am, and I know I can say this because, like you said, Jack, she doesn't watch it, so it's fine. Hi, Mom, again. You know, it's fine. She doesn't watch it either. It's fine. She doesn't support me with it. No, joking. She's fine. Any other points on that, guys? That's a slow silence.
I did actually have a point, but I've lost my distraction. I was going to say it after that. No, it's gone. Okay. I'm not going to remember.
If it comes back to
But it is, like, in terms of like summarizing for it all, like all the points that we said there, like, you know, setting a goal, that's always massively important. And then setting some sort of like working out the process that you need. You know, if you look at, especially if it's weight loss that you need or you want, let's say, like, just think what is skinny, healthy people do. Think about, if you just thought about that, how do they live their life? What choices do you think that they make? I mean, I guarantee that most people in the world could come up with almost all those ideas. They go to the gym often. I bet you they do loads of cardio or they move a lot. I bet you they eat some salads and they eat loads of healthy meals. You know what I mean? You could sit there and just be like, right, if my end goal is they look like that, stay like that, then that's what I need to work towards getting and then work the way back. So I'm going to just slowly get there. No. And then what else did we talk about then? Like getting your partners on board, figuring out a plan. What else have we done?
have a plan.
Enjoying what you're doing.
Realize it's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try and find something you enjoy.
But it's just like, it's all those things that like, if you tie them. Yeah. Well, the thing that you enjoy is good as well. Cause like there's so many, you know, how many people did sports in school and they liked it and then they just stopped because of adult life got in the way of work and families and all that. Like there's ways to get back in there. If you enjoy, like you said, playing tennis, and go enjoy the tennis club, because tennis, it's a lot of exercise. And then if you're like, oh, I want to get better at that, I'll use the gym then to get better and stronger at doing these types of movements, and then it reinforces where you're going.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think also a good little thing that people can use is some people like to easily avoid going to the gym because they're like, oh, I'll go after work. There's no set time. There's no commitment. Whereas something that's always good that we have, and we make sure people have, obviously we have, like same as you guys do with your Google calendars, we have our calendar system that sends our clients the notification and text and like calendar invite for the session. So it can go into their diaries, because it's like, it's proven having it, one, getting reminded about it the day before by text or email, whatever is useful, but having it in the diary, even if you don't use a system like that, but you've got your work diary, put it in your diary, 5 till 6, gym, training, whatever you want to call it. So visually it's in your diary. You see it at the beginning of the day, be like, oh yeah, I've got gym 5 till 6. It's there. It's a commitment. Like, in order to not do it, you have to ignore it, which then is harder to do anyway. Or you're like, okay, I have to move it if you really don't want to do it.
Yeah. You got to do something.
That's a great idea.
Something
like,
has
we
to
all
be
know
done.
when we're going to train.
Yeah. I know exactly when I'm going to train every week.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like I know I get there Sunday night and I know what muscle groups I'm training. I know what days I'm training. I almost all the time I know what time I'm training. It just becomes easier then. And like you said, if you planned it in, eventually over time that would just become a norm. It would just be, you train on a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. That's it. It just, after the 3 months of doing Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, you'll then have that, well, like, oh no, I can't go out at this time because I always train on Tuesday. Unlike, people being like, oh, I can't really commit to that because I always go to play poker or I always go to play pool, or I go to the pub with this, or I play Skittles at that time. It just become one of those things where it fits into your life, and then you go.
Right? Gentlemen, we're running out of time, and is there any other, just before we go on to I wanted to do one or two real quick, try and do this at the end of every podcast, really, 1 or 2 quick myth busting things. So have you got anything else to say, guys, on the point on the question that you posed, Jack? I think we covered quite a lot there, didn't we?
No, I don't think so. I think we've covered it. I think that's good.
Yeah, so let's go for one, and I'll ask you both one each. Make it super quick because we are, like I said, short on time now. But the first busting of myths is this idea that people think the knee shouldn't travel in front of the toe or shouldn't travel forward when doing a lunge or squat. It should stay in line with the ankle. This is a lot of things that I hear, because if you don't, you're going to damage your knee. Why don't you go for that one first? Why don't you go for that one, Jack, and I'll get you to do the other one, Simon.
Yes, it can. Next.
Okay. Why should? Okay, I'll ask it again. Why should it? And what is the reason?
I think, I don't know where it originates from.
It was a strength and conditioning coach, and he was dealing with knee tendonitis, I believe.
Yeah, no, I've seen it a lot in physiotherapists as well, where they avoid allowing the knee to travel forwards during a squat pattern. It happens a lot there, where the cue is send the hip back. I mean, it's the quads, the muscle that you're working predominantly through a squat, the most efficient way for it to be lengthened is for your knee to travel forwards. Yes, your hip's going to go back a little bit, but sending your hip, but there's a classic sort of feeling or twinge that people get, and it's not safe for work, but it's right here, just underneath the glute where the hamstring sort of ends and then the glute starts here. And the first thing I'll ask people to do when they do it, okay, well, squat for me. And all they're doing is doing what they believe is right, where they're not putting the knee, allowing the knee to travel forwards and sending all their weight back into the hips. So what you end up doing is actually loading that part of your body and those muscles. Whereas in order for your quads to fully become involved in the movement, that knee traveling forwards needs to happen. And people, yes, may avoid it because they have knee pain. There may be certain specific reasons, but if you've got healthy knees, you're in good shape, have your knees travel over your toes where your foot stays flat. Your foot still needs to stay flat. If you're coming up into your heels and you're doing a barefooted squat, then have a look at your ankle mobility. But a good way to get used to that pattern and be like, okay, my knees need to travel over my toes, is to actually use a heel raise. So something that elevates your heel, because then guess what? Your knee is going to travel over your foot, and it emphasizes that movement, gets you used to it. So then you can then go back and regress, take the wedge down. If you've got a wedge that goes up and down that you can adjust, fantastic, or just use things that lower in height until you're able to naturally do the movement where your knee travels over the toes, where you're either flat-footed or just in your weightlifting shoes or whatever it is you use.
Okay, thank you, Jack. That's a knee traveling forward. It can be done. I think it derived from someone training with knee tendonitis, and the knee tendonitis was symptoms kind of went away or got better when the knee didn't travel forward for certain particular people. But the point is, like Jack said, if that's you, you got to build the strength back up and eventually go back to a normal. Otherwise, you're going to cause other problems. Simon, for you. Squatting below 90 is bad for my knees. Is that true?
Yes.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. So we should leave it there.
Yeah, because your knees go over your toes.
Yeah,
Obviously.
exactly. Exactly. My point. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is another thing, isn't it?
No, not at all. And again, this is all based off, like, if you've got good mechanics and you've got good mobility, then absolutely not. I mean, if you look at any Olympic lifter in the world, it is absolutely impossible for them to not go below 90 degrees. So as long as you've got the ankle mobility and the hip mobility, then there's no reason why you can't go below 90, because you will only then increase the amount of muscle activation that you're working, especially in the glutes. You'll get that bottom end range, and you'll get full quad development because your knees have to drive all the way forward. You've increased the angle both for the hip and the knee, and you'll have full leg development, you know. Again, if you've got injuries, back pain, or lack of mobility, then maybe not, but it would be always worth trying to build into that. And it doesn't have to be a back squat. It could be goblet squats.
Any variation of squat,
squat position will allow you to sink deeper into the hips because you're in a more upright position. But it's not bad for you, only unless you have issues with mobility and like strength or injuries that are coming in there. But I squat below 90, and I worked down there for ages, and it's never given me any issues. But again, my hips work and everything else works around it, and I get great activation through the glutes through there. So definitely not. And most people just like, they tend to sit above the 90 because they're a lot stronger. Let's not get it wrong. Getting out of the hole when you're below 90 is way harder to pull yourself up. So you probably you have to drop your ego first, and then you have to drop the weight second, and then go for that full range. But again, I wouldn't say it's.
Yeah, thank you, Simon. I will. Next week? I will go into some of the reasons at the end of the podcast where you wouldn't necessarily go past 90 degrees. So we'll talk a little bit about that next week, I think, because we've run out of time here. Thank you very much again, gentlemen. That was a good one, I believe. See you at the same time next week.
Absolute pleasure.
Beautiful.
Brilliant. Thank you. Have a good week, gents.
Yeah, Andrew.
See you later.
Bye bye.
All right.